Start the recording here. Great. All right, 7 o'clock. It is welcome everyone to the Tuesday, December 14th Town Board meeting for the Town of Olive. I'd like to call the meeting to order and start with the Pledge of Allegiance. David, could you put that up, please? All right. All together now. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States
of America
and to the republic for which it
which
stands, one nation, under God, indivisible,
indivisible,
liberty,
liberty, and
Justice
justice for all.
for all.
Thank you, everyone. Dawn, could you please do the roll call?
Board Member Bogus,
I'm here.
Board Member Kelder. Board Member,
I'm here if you can hear
there he
me.
is. Board Member Ettinger,
I'm here.
Board Member Reed,
I'm here.
Supervisor Sefranco.
I am here. You've all had a chance to look at the November minutes. Can I get a motion to approve those minutes?
I'll make the motion to approve the minutes of November.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So
Aye.
carried. Okay. Let's move on to some correspondence. I had this correspondence I received from Dawn Whitaker in October, the end of October, and I did not include it in the November meeting because she had indicated to us that she would like to appear in person in an in-person meeting, and we have not had one since. But I did want to acknowledge the receipt of the correspondence. It is a complaint about a neighbor and an order that was issued by the code enforcement officer to the neighbor back in, I think, April. And I did talk to John Ingram about that, and he has let me know that he has since spoken to both the neighbors. So I don't know if Mrs. Whitaker wants to pursue that any further, but I did want to acknowledge receipt of that and let us all be aware of that in case it comes back to us. We have some announcements. We have posted on the town website. There are two terms that are expiring, one for the planning board and one for the zoning board of appeals. There will be openings in January for both of those positions. Planning board is a 7-year term, and I think the ZBA is a 5-year term. You can, if you're interested in that, you can send a letter of interest with a resume, if you like, to the email, my email, which is olivesupervisor@gmail.com. And we will accept those letters of interest and resumes up to December 24th of this year. So if you're interested in those positions, please send me a letter. I did have another announcement that just came in this afternoon. Ulster County has purchased a number of rapid test kits for COVID-19. And these test kits will be receiving on Friday, and they will be made available to the town residents on December 20th, Monday. And we are taking reservations for them. If you want to reserve one for yourself, you can call up the town office, 845-657-8118, and speak to Dawn, or anyone else can help you there as well. Each kit will contain 2 COVID tests, and these are rapid tests. And the idea, and there'll be a maximum of 2 kits per household. So there will be 4 tests available per household. The idea being that this will enable people to do rapid testing before the holidays and before get-togethers with their families to try to ward off any kind of spread of a transmission of the disease. So they will be available on Monday. The Any questions about that? Comments?
I don't have a question about that, Tim. It's Jennifer. But I had a question about Ms. Whitaker's
Jennifer
issue.
Valance, hold on a second,
Hi.
because you're not identified on the thing. I just want to make sure.
Oh, I'm sorry. I assumed it was, it came up. My name came up. But, yeah, I'm sorry. I meant to introduce myself. But anyway, I was just wondering what the issue was with Ms. Whitaker and her neighbor.
It's a neighbor to neighbor thing about the neighbor is, as I recall, like composting on the edge of the property, and they have an adjoining a garage near there, and the husband does welding, and they have concerns about the debris on the property, and this has been going on for some time, and it's been an issue that it's not a clear violation of anyone's rights in that, as far as I heard last, but I'm not really sure in the details. Mr. Ingram knows
Right.
more about it than I do.
That's
Okay.
not something we would normally the town would normally get involved in, is it?
No, it's not, and you have to very often explain that to people. So,
Okay. Thank you.
all right. Yep, thank you. I am moving on to budget modifications. Get through that. Budget modifications, the general fund transfer from contingency 1990.4, $6,000 to the following accounts. 1010.4 town board contractual for $200. 7110.4 parks contractual expense for $1,600. 7180.4 pools contractual for $2,500. 8160.4 refuse and garbage contractual for $1,000, and 9050.8 unemployment insurance for $700. The general fund transfer $26,000 and $26,325 from A9060.8 general fund health insurance to payroll account to fund HSA. Transfer $17,550 from A9060.8 general fund health insurance to HRA account. Highway fund transfer $49,000 from D9060.8 highway health insurance to payroll account to fund HSA, and transfer $8,775 from D9060.8 to highway health insurance to HRA account. Increase. Let me get a motion to make those transfers before I move on.
Make the motion to make the transfers as you just outlined.
Of those budget.
Second it.
All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, those are transferred, those budget modifications. In addition, I'd like to increase the revenue in A4089, federal aid, $13,587 to reflect ARPA resolution number 23, 8160.1 refuge and garbage personnel services of $1,000, 8189.1 recycling personnel services to $3,220. 3620.1 safety inspection personnel services, $2,350. 8020.1 planning personnel services, $250. 1220.1 supervisor personnel services, $500. 1410.1 town clerk personal services, $350. 1355.1 assessor personnel services, $500. 7310.1 youth programs personnel services, $350. 7180.1 pool personnel services, $2,716. 7110.1 parks personnel services of $1,751. 5010.1 superintendent of highways personnel services, $250. 1110.1 justices personal services, $350. that is the money that we've spent so far in the ARPA money. And this reflects that budget modification to increase the revenue and make those transfers. Can I get a motion to approve that?
I'll move to, we approve it.
And a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So carried. Thank you. And I presume from some of the emails I've been seeing, we're probably going to readdress that in January or at the end of the year before the closing of the books there. I would like to approve the payment of the audited bills. You all had a chance to look at them, I believe, most of you.
Yeah, I
The
did.
general fund vouchers number 504 through 554 for $29,758.65. The highway fund vouchers number 248 through 268 for $43,870.95. And special fire voucher number 3 for $293,487. Can I get a motion to approve those audited bills?
I'll make the motion to approve pay our bills.
There you go. And a second. All right, Vicky seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. We received cash in October 2021 of $76,043.09 and interest received in October 2021 of $550.57. Okay. If anyone at this point in the public wants to make any comments or public statements, now would be a good time. If you can raise your hand or we can unmute people. I see something in the chat here. Oh, that was somebody looking for the phone. Okay, we identified that. Jennifer, we got Tim. If anybody wants to comment, now's the time. You can unmute them for a sec there, David, if you would.
You should be able to mute now.
All right.
Actually, Jim, can I just ask back to the COVID test for a minute? Those free public then, or?
Those are for the public. We only have 200 test kits. And again, they're limited to 2 per household, but it's 2 per test kit. So it would be actually 4 tests per household. And you can call the office and speak to Dawn and we can reserve them and they will be available on Monday.
Thank you.
And they're rapid tests. Okay. Okay. Without any further comments, we can mute the participants and I will move on to the additional business. Okay, we have resolution number 26 of 2021, the authorized signing of contract with the Olive Fire Department. Whereas a fire protection district for the town of Olive was established by resolution of the town board of the town of Olive on the first day of April, 1948. And whereas the town of Olive Town Board contracts with the Olive Fire Department number 1 Incorporated to maintain adequate and suitable apparatus and appliances for the furnishing of fire protection to all territory within the town of Olive. And whereas the current contract with the Olive Fire Department number 1 Incorporated expires on December 31st, 2021, and a new three-year contract was presented to the town board at its October 14th, 2021 budget workshop meeting. And whereas the town board of the town of Olive reviewed said contract and held a public hearing on the new contract with the Olive Fire Department number 1 Incorporated on November 4th, 2021. And now therefore be it resolved, the town board of the town of Olive authorizes the town supervisor to execute a 3-year contract with the Olive Fire Department number 1 Incorporated beginning January 1st, 2022. Can I get a motion to move that adoption?
Make the motion to approve the resolution.
In a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Scott, thank you. Dawn, would you like to do the call of the vote there?
Board Member Bogus,
Yes.
Board Member Kelder,
Yes.
Board Member Edinger,
Yes.
Board Member Reed,
Yeah.
Supervisor Sefranco.
Yes, and I'd like to again thank the Olive Fire Department for putting together a fine budget for this contract. It was really, really helpful for us. The next resolution is number 27 of 2021, and this is an adopting a schedule for the fees in the town. You have all seen those fees. I believe they were posted on the website. And I don't think I'm going to read through them all, but we all kind of know what they are. I don't know if I have to read through them all, but I will read the resolution. The Town of Olive, Resolution number 27 of 2021, adopt a schedule of fees pursuant to Chapter 91 of the Town of Olive Town Code. Whereas the Town of Olive Code, Chapter 91-2, provides for a single comprehensive schedule of fees and charges to be levied in the administration of town laws, ordinances, regulations, and resolutions, and that schedule shall be set forth in a resolution to be adopted by the town board. And whereas Chapter 91-2 of the Town of Olive Code requires annual review and updating of fees consistent with the annual budgeting process based on the actual cost to the town providing these services by the simple process of adopting and amending from time to time a resolution containing such fees. And whereas Chapter 91-3 of the Town of Olive Code states that fees or charges currently leveled in other regulations that are not included in this revised fee schedule shall remain in effective pending incorporation in this standard schedule. Therefore, be it resolved, the town board of the Town of Olive adopts the following comprehensive schedule of fees and administration charges. Said fees and charges shall become effective January 1st, 2022. And the schedule of fees is attached. It is available on the website. It is available at the town in the building department. And it was discussed at previous, well, I don't know if it's discussed at a previous meeting, but we'll put it out there. So I'd like to get a motion to move that resolution number 27.
I'll make the motion to approve resolution 27 on the fee schedule.
I'll second.
Okay, Dawn,
Board Member Bogus,
Yes.
Board Member Kelder,
I muted him because we were getting echo, so he may not, he'll have to unmute
Thumbs
to
up.
speak.
is that a yes? I think it was, yes.
okay. Board Member Edinger,
Yes,
Board Member Reed,
Yes,
and Supervisor DeFranco.
That's a yes. So carried. Thank you, everyone. This one's wordy. Oh, my goodness. All right. This is why I didn't read the previous fee schedule. Resolution number 28 of 2021. I can just explain this a little. This is a reduction in the land acquisition, a request to reduce the policies by the New York City Department of Environmental Protection and the land acquisition program. And in, let's see what year that was, in the National Academy of Sciences published a report that looked at the, they review it before the fads, and they look at the report and determine whether the program set forth in the memorandum of understanding between the Catskill watershed towns and New York City, whether those programs that are administered by the Catskill Watershed Corporation are effective and working or need modification. This resolution is a resolution to ask for them to reduce the land acquisition in different ways. So I'll read through the whole thing, and if there's any questions, you can ask them at the end. Resolution number 28 in the Town of Olive for 2021, a resolution in support of the land acquisition reduction recommendations in the 2020 August National Academy Science Expert Panel Report. Whereas in August 2020, the National Academy of Sciences Expert Panel published its report entitled Review of the New York City Watershed Protection Program, which recommended that expenditures in the land acquisition program be reduced to fund other programs that will lead to more direct improvements in water quality. NAS report, page 385, NAS recommended that New York City be provided flexibility to implement a optimal variety of programs that would focus watershed management actions on the most valuable lands for water quality protections and an if shift funding and emphasis from acquiring large parcels in the fee simple and conservation easement programs to the protection of riparian lands on critical areas of tributary streams through programs that provide an opportunity to simultaneously address community needs and watershed protection. Programs which provide a financial mechanism to promote community well-being and economic vitality in the watershed while promoting the protection of high potential water quality impact areas were specifically encouraged. See NAS report, page 215 to 16, discussing the New York City flood buyout program. Whereas the fundamental principle of the 1997 New York City Watershed Memorandum of Agreement, the MOA, watershed objective is the following, quote, the parties recognize that the goals of drinking water protection and economic vitality within the watershed communities are not inconsistent, and it is the intention of the parties to enter into a new era of partnership to cooperate in the development and implementation of a watershed protection program that maintains and enhances the quality of New York City drinking water supply and the economic vitality and social character of the watershed communities. Whereas the 1997 New York City Watershed Memorandum of Agreement also defined the MOA land acquisition objectives as follows. The parties agreed that New York City's land acquisition program, the city's watershed regulations, and other programs and conditions contained in this agreement, when implemented in conjunction with one another, would allow existing development to continue and future growth to occur in a manner that is consistent with the existing community character and planning goals of each of the watershed communities, and that the city's land acquisition goals ensure that the availability of developable land in the watershed shall remain sufficient to accommodate projected growth without anticipated adverse effects on water quality and without substantially changing future population patterns in the watershed communities. Hereinafter land acquisition objectives. And whereas the city's land acquisition program is premised on the principle that surface runoff from impervious surfaces and concentrated human activity poses a contamination threat to the city's water supply. In developing the city land acquisition program, the parties were concerned that the vast amount of open space within the west of Hudson watershed created the potential for new significant adverse development in an unfiltered watershed. The New York City's land acquisition program was a tool to prevent and control such development. And whereas in 1997, when the parties executed the MOA, a small percentage of the watershed lands within New York City was under the New York City control. 20 years later, according to an October 12, 2017 Catskill Watershed Corporation developable land analysis report, 53% of the land within the town of Olive is land protection from development. 73% of the land within the town of Olive is not suitable for development. The CWC 2017 report indicates that there are only 2,548 acres of available developable land within the town of Olive, less than 2.1% of the total land area. Whereas 2017 City of New York filtration avoidance determination requires that an application for a new water supply permit to succeed the 2010 WSP be filed by June 2022. The City of New York must also develop a long-term acquisition plan, which will cover the period 2023 through 2033, and consider the findings and recommendations of the National Academy's expert panel review. And whereas with the assistance of the Coalition of Watershed Towns and CWC, Delaware County has developed an alternative land acquisition program option that provides an opportunity for impacted communities to provide robust, enhanced protection of environmentally sensitive lands in a manner that does not rely on one-time payments for fee title acquisitions of large parcels or conservation easements that burden land in perpetuity. The alternative option focuses on environmentally sensitive lands, such as riparian or stream buffers, which directly contribute to water quality and provides a fixed-term annual rental payment to the landowner, a model that has proven to be effective in Delaware County. And whereas the alternative option would allow landowners to retain ownership of their property while receiving periodic payments that reflect the water quality protection value their property provides. The alternative option provides a financial mechanism to promote community well-being and economic vitality while promoting water quality, thereby achieving the balance of interest required by the MOA and recommended in the NAS report. The county envisions an impacted municipality would make a determination and a commitment to participate in the alternative option program as a way to provide enhanced protection of sensitive lands in lieu and as a substitute for the continuation of the traditional DEP land acquisition program. Municipal commitment would be for a period of years, e.g. 10 years, during which time land acquisition program would be suspended within that community. Whereas DEC recently announced it will make a determination to expand the Stream Corridor Acquisition Program, the SAP, beyond the Schoharie Basin to the entire watershed, that this determination is not subject to review under the State Environmental Quality Review Act and does not require due process or a modification of 2010 water supply permit. According to DEC, homeowners will have the flexibility to request that the SAP acquisitions of individual parcels in excluded hamlet areas and hamlet expansion areas be approved on a case-by-case basis by making a direct appeals to the town village board. This may include both vacant lots and improved lots, both of which are eligible for SAP acquisition under the 2010 water supply permit, although DEC states that the purchase of improved lots is not intended. And whereas the town maintains the potential impacts that could result from the continuation and potential expansion of SAP must be reviewed under secret. There has been a significant change in circumstances since the SAP program was first envisioned and implemented under the 2010 water supply permit. This change in circumstances requires the preparation of a supplemental environmental impact statement in order to identify and take a hard look at the impact of this expansion and the land acquisition program would have on environment and the sustainability of our community. And whereas the fee acquisitions under SAP are subject to Section 82 of the MOA, which requires the city to grant to the New York City DEC, or New York State DEC, a conservation easement to ensure that such land is held in perpetuity in an undeveloped state in order to protect the watershed and New York City's drinking water supply. The conservation easement required by DEC under Section 82 of the MOA prohibits in perpetuity the following activities on the acquired property: construction of any new structures normally requiring a building code permit, storage of petroleum, hazardous materials, excavating, extraction, grading, removal of soil, sand, and gravel, use of snowmobiles, dune buggies, motorcycles, all-terrain vehicles, or other motorized vehicles, recreation vehicles, the expansion of any existing or construction of any new paved driveways, roads, or parking lots, the commercial, residential, or industrial use, except in coordination with Article 49 of the ECL, the siting or routing of any facilities required for the transmission or distribution of gas, electric, water, telephone, or cable television services on or over the protected or under the protected property. So it's on, over, or under. The commercial, residential, and industrial use of the protected property in such a manner that causes the introduction of sediments or any other pollutants to the watercourse or wetland on the protected property that may be adversely affect the quality of such watercourse or wetland, interferes with or disturbs open space, vegetated areas, or steep slopes on the protected properties, or is otherwise inconsistent with the purpose of this easement. I'm getting there. Whereas the town requests that the DEC, the Catskill Center, the DEP, identify and evaluate the potential adverse impacts on municipal and private functions if the city encumbers large sections of stream buffers, corridors with restrictive conservation easements in perpetuity. Specific areas of concern include impacts on the following: installation and upgrade of electric, water, gas, telephone, broadband cable lines as needed to provide basic utilities, maintenance, upgrade, expansion, widening, safety improvements to existing roads and extension of existing roads, installation, expansion, and replacement of communication towers, including the necessary utilities, the siting, maintenance, and expansion of stream crossings, flood mitigation projects, and renewable energy projects. Whereas on April 27th, the Delaware County Board of Supervisors passed resolution number 162 entitled Delaware County requests that a moratorium on new purchase contracts for fee title and DEP conservation easements be implemented in Delaware County pending a comprehensive review of the land acquisition program to identify the need for the continuation of land acquisition, the benefits of land acquisition, the impact of land acquisition on community sustainability, and the other tools available to achieve MOA land acquisition objectives. That resolution identifies and describes the change in circumstances since the SAP was first envisioned in 2007 FAD, and the town supports Delaware County Resolution number 162. Now therefore be it resolved, the Town of Olivetown Board joins in the Delaware County Board of Supervisors petition to DEC, DOH, and DEP requesting the following relief. 1, the FAD requires application for a water WSP to succeed the 2010 WST is required by June 2022, and that the city develop a long-term land acquisition plan which will cover the period 2023 through 2033 and which will consider the findings of the National Academy's expert panel review. Given the uncertainties created by the change in circumstances effective January 1st, 2022, and extending through completion of the permitting process, the city refrained from entering into new contracts to purchase fee title and/or conservation easements under the land acquisition program within the town of Olive. In developing the long-term acquisition plan for the period of 2023 through 2033 and the WSP renewable application by June 2022, that DEP limit its land and conservation easement acquisition within the town to WAC conservation easements, flood mitigation projects, stream protection management, the Delaware County Alternative Pilot Land Acquisition Proposal, and a voluntary municipally approved SAP program. Be it further resolved that this resolution be sent to New York Governor Kathy Hochul, U.S. Congressman Antonio Delgado, New York State Senator Peter Oberacker, New York State Assemblyman Kevin Cahill, EPA Region 2 Administrator Lisa Garcia, New York State DEC Commissioner Basil Sagos, New York City DEP Commissioner Vincent Sapienza, and New York State Department of Health Commissioner Mary Bassett. I'd like to move its adoption. I'd like to make a motion to move this. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Dawn, can you do the roll call? Is there any discussion on this before we do it? Everybody kind of get the gist of this? I know it was very wordy and I apologize for the length, but that's what has been proposed. Okay,
Board Member Bogus,
Yes.
Board Member Kelder,
Yes.
Board Member Edinger,
Yes.
Board Member Reed,
yes,
Supervisor DeFranco.
yes, thank you all. A little water after that one. Now we're moving on to Resolution 29 of 2021 for the town of Olive. Many of you know that Aaron Bennett was our outreach and assessment lead for the New York City flood buyout program. He worked extensively in Boyceville, talking to every landowner in the 100-year floodplain and working with the flood analysis that we created in 2017. He has now moved on to working with New York City DEP. So this is a resolution to appoint Brent Ghosh and Adam Doan to these positions. This might only be for a few months until they get somebody else to replace Brent in the county, because that was where Aaron had come from in the Environmental Committee. Town of Olive Resolution number 29 of 2021, appoint of outreach and assessment leads for the New York City Voluntary Flood Buyout Program for flood mitigation. Whereas the Town of Olive by Resolution number 12 of 2014 entered into a memorandum of understanding with the Ashokan Stream Management Program and finalized a local flood analysis in August of 2017. And whereas the filtration avoidance determination of 2017 required New York City to fund a flood mitigation program, and whereas one component of that program includes a voluntary New York City flood buyout program for communities to consider, and whereas the terms and conditions of the voluntary New York City flood buyout program for village and hamlet designated areas to consider in the New York City watershed have been completed, Unlike the existing land acquisition program, these acquisitions are solely for the purpose of flood mitigation efforts with the agreement of the involved municipality. And whereas the town of Olive agreed to support eligible landowners participate in the Hurricane Irene flood buyout program funded by the New York State Emergency Management Office and FEMA Hazard Mitigation Grant Program and administered by Ulster County Soil and Water. And whereas the town of Olive will not be charged with the funding of the expenses of the outreach and assessment leads to facilitate and represent the community for the New York City funded flood buyout program. And whereas the participating municipalities in the New York City flood buyout program are to provide a resolution designating the outreach and assessment leads to facilitate and represent the community through the process. And whereas the stakeholders have identified 5 distinct categories of properties that may be eligible for acquisition under the New York City flood buyout. And whereas the town of Olive recognizes it may choose to conduct these tests independently or where no entity is willing to or able to undertake these roles, the New York City Department of Environmental Protection, the Catskill Watershed Corporation, or their respectable consultants would be available to be the outreach or lead assessment lead for a particular category of property. And whereas the New York City flood buyout program will not acquire properties unless the proposed acquisition is agreed to by the town of Olive based on the specific procedures used to conform municipal concurrence as documented in the New York City flood buyout program property evaluation selection process dated June 1st, 2016. Now, therefore, be it resolved, the town of Olive designates Brent Ghosh of the Ashokian Watershed Stream Management Program as the interim outreach for Category 4 erosion and Category 5 inundation and interim assessment lead for Category 5 inundation. In addition, the town of Olive designates Adam Doan of the Ashokian Watershed Stream Management Program as the assessment lead for Category 4 erosion. Be it further resolved, the town of Olive may change the outreach and assessment leads at any time in the future, as well as there may be unique individual community circumstances and needs that may enable either the outreach or assessment lead to be the only lead needed by the community. Can I get a motion to adopt that resolution?
I'll move to adopt it.
I'll second.
Okay, Dawn, please.
Board Member Bogus,
Yes.
Board Member Kelder,
Yes.
Board Member Edinger,
Yes.
Board Member Reed,
Yes.
Supervisor DeFranco.
Yes. Thank you, everyone. Moving on to resolution number 30. This is for the land that is being purchased. We're in contract for. This is for the closing to purchase the land on Route 28 for the Shokan wastewater community wastewater project for the siting of the wastewater treatment plant. And we need to approve a resolution, follow through with that for the closing, and in addition to declare a negative declaration on the secret process. So a Town of Olive Resolution number 30 of 2021, authorizing the supervisor to proceed to closing for the purchase of real estate and issuing negative declaration pursuant to Secret 6 NYCRR Part 617. Whereas the Town of Olive has entered into an agreement to purchase a 6.3 acre parcel of land located at 3350 Route 28 in the hamlet of Shokan. And whereas it is in the interest of the town to proceed with closing to purchase the property, and whereas the Town of Olive pursuant to 6 New York's NYCRR Part 617 classified the proposed property acquisition as an unlisted action under SECRA, caused Part 1 of a short environmental assessment form to be prepared, reviewed Part 2 and 3 of the short environmental assessment form, and taken a hard look at all of the potential environmental impacts of the proposed action. Now, therefore, be it resolved as follows by the Town Board of Olive, Ulster County, New York. The Town Board does hereby determine that the acquisition of the property will not result in any significant adverse environmental impact and hereby adopts the negative declaration pursuant to SECRA. the town board hereby authorizes the town supervisor to execute any and all documents on behalf of the town board as may be necessary to complete the secret process, and the town board authorizes the supervisor to proceed with closing on the property and to execute any and accept any and all documents as necessary to complete the purchase of the property. Whereupon the resolution was put to a vote and recorded as follows. Do I have a motion to move that resolution?
I'll make the motion to move the resolution number 30.
And a second?
I'll
Second.
second.
Scott's got it.
Get that, Dawn? Go ahead.
Ready?
Yep.
Board Member Bogus,
Yes.
Board Member Kelder,
Yes.
Board Member Edinger,
Yes.
Board Member Reed,
yes,
Supervisor DeFranco.
Yes. Okay, going through a lot of words tonight. Okay, discussed this last night a little bit. This is resolution 31. I'm sorry, we had to bring this up at the last minute, but it was timely. This is to change the compensation and benefits manual for the town employees. Town of Olive Resolution number 31 of 2021, resolution to amend the 2019 compensation and benefits manual. Whereas the Town of Olive Town Board adopted the Town of Olive Compensation and Benefits Manual on December 10th, 2019, and whereas section 1.2.2 of the Town of Olive Compensation and Benefits Manual states, the town board may, at its sole discretion, make exceptions to any part of this compensation and benefits manual where such exceptions are permissible by law. Actually, I wanted to take that part out, but we'll keep it in. It doesn't matter. Whereas section 3.2.1 of the Compensation and Benefits Manual addresses the qualifications for vacation leave available for full-time employees, and whereas section 3.2.1 vacation leave allowance states a newly hired employee may not use vacation leave credits until completion of 90 calendar days of continuous employment. And whereas section 3.2.1 of the Compensation and Benefit Manual creates an inequity for employees hired after October 1st of the calendar year, making them ineligible for any use of the accrued vacation leave during that year. Now, therefore, be it resolved, the Town of Olive Town Board removes the following language. Quote, a newly hired employee may not use vacation leave credits until completion of 90 calendar days of continuous employment. From the Compensation and Benefits Manual, section 3.2.1. Can I get a motion to move that? Or any discussion before we do? I know this is,
I have a question. You started reading a section I don't have in my resolution that you sent me.
I know, I have the
So,
older version. that I-
Are we leaving that in or taking that out? Because mine doesn't have it and I'm
You're
gonna need.
talking about where it talks about the making exceptions to a part of it, the second whereas.
My second whereas starts with 3.2.1 of the Compensation Benefits Manual addresses the qualifications for vacation leave available for full-time employees.
I will read it again. Okay,
Well, then it's fine. You don't have to read it again. Just if you're going with the one you have, you'll need to send that to me.
no, I'm going to with the one you have. I'm striking that. I had the older version. I'm sorry.
Okay, then you can go ahead. I just want to clarify that before we
Okay,
vote,
yes.
that line won't be in.
We're omitting the second whereas where it says section 1.2.2 of the Town of Olive Compensation and Benefit Manual states the town board at its sole discretion may make exceptions to any part of the Compensation and Benefits Manual where such exceptions are permissible by law. We're going to strike that from the resolution.
Okay,
Okay, can I get a motion to move this or a discussion beforehand?
I'll make the motion to approve resolution 31.
And a second? Okay, let's go through the roll call.
Board Member Bogus,
Yes.
Board Member Kelder,
Yes.
Board Member Edinger,
Yes.
Board Member Reed,
yes,
Supervisor DeFranco.
Yes. All right. Okay, And here I am now going to address another issue of the compensation manual. And this is where I got that confused section in. We wanted to make an exception to the manual for circumstances that have arisen lately with one of our employees. So I'd like to read the following section. Let me first state that section 1.2.2 of the Town of Olive Compensation and Benefit Manual states that the town board may, at its sole discretion, make exceptions to any part of this compensation and benefits manual where such exceptions are permissible by law. And section 3.5.1 of the Compensation and Benefits Manual entitled Bereavement Leave states 3.5.1 immediate family. In the event of a death of a regular full-time employee's immediate family member, the employee may take a paid leave of absence for up to 5 scheduled workdays between date of the death and the day after the memorial service to make arrangements and attend funeral services. Such leave is not subtracted from any of the employee's leave credits for purposes of bereavement leave. Immediate family member includes spouse, domestic partner, child, including stepchild or foster, parent, including step-parent, sibling, grandparent, grandchild, or spouse's parent. In the, I might have missed something up there. And 3.31, extended family, in the event of the death of a regular full-time employee's extended family member, the employee may take a paid leave of absence up to 3 scheduled work days between the date of the death and the day after the memorial service to make arrangements and attend funeral services. For such leave is not subtracted from any of the employee's leave credits for purposes of bereavement leave. Extended family members include sibling. I should strike the one from above. It's sibling wasn't on that one. I was crossed out. So for purposes of this bereavement leave, we need to make clarification on what we're allowing here. So I make a motion to allow the Town of Olive employee Amanda Winnie to take a total of 8 days of paid leave absence for bereavement leave due to exceptional circumstances with the death of an immediate family member and an extended family member. Can I get a second for that motion?
I'll
I'll second
second.
that. Vicky's got it.
Any comments or questions before we vote?
I have a quick question, Tim. I'm sorry. When you say Town of Olive employee, are you referring to like the police department, the fire department, everybody, or just, town,
This is an
like the
exception to
offices?
this is an exception to the policy that we have existing for this unique and very sad circumstance that has happened recently. So
No, I assumed so. I assumed that was the case. But the reason I ask is because I know that most of the police department is part-time, and you keep referring to full-time employees. So
the
is that
part-time employees do
your
not have the
intent?
same benefits.
I'm sorry?
I'm sorry, the part-time employees do not have benefits like this.
Oh, they wouldn't have that option in
No.
in the case of a loss or something like that. That doesn't apply to them.
I'd have to look, there is a section on part-time, but I haven't looked at that for this purpose.
Okay, because I assumed it would apply. I assumed it would apply to them as well, because under those kinds of circumstances. But I don't mean to, bring up a whole new point that but it sounds like a horrible circumstance, and I just assumed it would apply to everyone. But
Yeah, I'd have to look at that. I don't have that policy.
thinking.
The policy explicitly excludes part-time employees.
Part-timers.
Temporary
Okay.
part-time.
Okay, I was just
Okay, thank you.
I was just wondering if it was an oversight or Okay, thank you.
Very good. All right, I had a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
I did second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? So carried. Thank you, everyone. And it's just an overwhelming sense of loss there. I'm sorry.
Sorry to hear that.
Okay. All right. We discussed this at previous meetings, and the deadline for cannabis is December 31st. And the town board is not taking any action on opting out of any of the uses that would be permitted in the town in the opt-out deadline of December 31st. I just want to confirm that, and if anybody has a comment on that. Okay. I did want to update you all on the energy provider for the contract. I signed recently, I signed a 2-year contract with Direct Energy for 100% green energy for the town's energy consumption. I think most of the meters are on there. I don't think 100%, and I don't believe the wastewater treatment facility is on there. But we came out with, it was around 0.094, I want to say, for 2 years and 100% green. The update on the Shokan Sewer District law. I had numerous conversations with Kevin Young because he works with the CWC to create these laws when they have sewer districts. I also was talking to him about that whole Delaware County recommendation, to agree with Delaware County's land acquisition program recommendations. So I've been on the phone with Kevin a lot this week and last week. So I just wanted to give you a short update on where we are with the law. He's working on just the law aspect of it. And the law is still being finalized and will eventually need town board approval before we move forward with it. Shokan and Boyceville will be 2 different sewer districts, not one. At one point, we were considering 1 district. An out-of-district fee schedule will be created for properties wishing to be included in the sewer district. So if you were an adjacent or nearby property owner and you wish to be included, there will be a fee schedule set up for that. Properties not included in the current mapping of the sewer district will not be included in the initial build out, but they can be later added for that fee. We're writing that into the law. I inquired about having properties have the ability to be in the district on the 28 corridor between Shokan and Boyceville. I inquired about adding into properties during the construction phase of the project, and he advised us to not do that at this time because the district has so clearly been defined and mapped in the engineering studies completed by Chazen and Lamont in the September 2020 preliminary engineering report for the Shokan wastewater management program. So his feeling is that if you were to even engage in adding properties into the system at this time, or including them as viable in the system at this point in the development of this, that it would likely delay the project immensely, and it would cause further expense that would probably have to be burdened by the district or the town to create additional seeker review of all of the expanded proposed properties that you'd want to include in that. So he was of the opinion that it is much cleaner and easier to get the project in as designed, and then to allow for people to opt in later along those routes and around the district, because then they could do their own SECRA depending on the type of property and the location, and there would be an associated fee with tapping it. That would also have to all be approved by the town board and determined by the request of the how much impact it would have on the existing facility and whether the facility can accommodate that. CWC, Lamont, and Kevin Young will be scheduling a meeting with the public in the early winter to start to do some public outreach and explain the whole process to the community and to the public, and where we are with it and where we're going and how it will unfold. As of now, we only have little bits of information, and I have been advised not to even give them out because they change as this is being developed. So that's kind of where we are with the sewer district law. Any questions about that?
Yeah, Jim, I have a quick question. Is Kevin, we have a sewer district law right now. Is Kevin modifying that law, or is he going to create a whole new one?
He's done over 30 of these, and he uses the same template that he used in Boyceville for this, I believe. It's all
Okay.
very, very similar stuff.
Do you get
And I
the
don't
sense
think
of,
it's a big change from what he has.
do you get the sense that we'll have two different sewer laws then, or is he going to combine them into one?
I don't know the answer to that. I'd have to ask him that. It's a good question.
Tim, I had a question too about that, actually.
Okay.
And I'm assuming it would be similar to the Boyceville thing, although I don't know how that worked. But as far as the fee schedule goes, is there a fee to the property owners to connect and then an annual fee, or is it just the annual fee?
There is no connection fee. It is just an annual fee. And it's a flat fee for residents, and it stays the same for the first 3 years. And then a COLA is applied to it to a cost of living adjustment after 3 years of steady rate. And the town has the option to add a small fee to create a capital fund. And then any of these properties that we're talking about that may in the future decide to tap into the system, that money can be put toward the capital fund as well, so that the capital fund builds over time with all these users and these new additions into it, if that happens. And you have a nice healthy fund in case any of the district that is not included in the operation and maintenance of the facility. For instance, like the building itself is owned by the district. So if the roof goes and has a leak, the district is responsible for that. So you create a capital fund to kind of take care of things like that. Did I answer your question?
You did. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Thanks. I never know what these things, it's so complicated to get into it. Anything else on this? All right, we'll move along. I don't know how I lose oh, here it is, agenda in the middle of the meeting. I did just want to give you a short update. In March of 2021, the police department was notified that there was a grant eligibility for a grant because of the bail reform law. And I would like to thank the police department for jumping on that. They were notified mid-March, and the deadline for application was the end of the March. They had to buy a computer and a printer that would suffice for the grant criteria. And they are eligible now, I'm told, for a $2,470.73 reimbursement from the grant administered by the Ulster County District Attorney's Office. So thank you, Sean, and thank you. I think Jason Huppert worked on that. Anything else before we move on to committees? Oh, you know what? I did have one other thing. The Simon Gruber. We have hired a consultant by the name of Simon Gruber to look at the American Rescue Plan funding, in particular into looking into the facilities at the West Shokan complex where the town offices are located. And he was looking at three elements of that: the salt shed, a cold storage garage, and the paving over the recent work we did at the office with the new septic and new stormwater management line that was through the parking lot. So the parking lot the paving was damaged. There's some temporary paving done in there. And we wanted to see if we could use the ARPA money for that. And I can tell you that what he's been working with the New York State Environmental Facilities Corporation, and one of the aspect of the ARPA funding is that you can use it for certain projects that have to do with wastewater stormwater and drinking water. So one of the big questions we had initially from him was whether salt sheds would qualify for this. And the way they put it in the criteria for the ARPA is that if there are projects that are eligible under the Clean Water and Drinking Water State Revolving Loan Fund programs, that if they're eligible under that, then they're eligible under the ARPA funding. But they're pretty complicated things. So he is doing this research, and he believes at this point that the salt shed is an eligible project for funding through the Environmental Facilities Corporation and through the CWSRF, and because they have funded them in the past. And what he is doing now is verifying that eligibility by obtaining documentation from those organizations and getting maybe a written opinion from them. The other two projects he's still looking at is the paving area and the cold storage garage, and he still needs a little more time to do a little more research on that. But his contact at the Environmental Facilities Corporation is working closely with him and will be able to provide us answers on the qualifications of those programs and whether these fit into them and help us with the documentation. So that's pretty good. I think we're moving along there, and he's doing his work as required. Any comments on it? Questions? Outrageous remarks? Okay, let's move to committees, commission and department reports. Cable franchise negotiations committee. Well, we haven't been negotiating a franchise for years because the franchise we have is much better than the one they're offering, the contract we have. However, we have been working for the last 8 years on build out in the town. We persistently look at that. And I've been the lead advocate for advocating for continuing build out in the rural areas, in all the areas of town, primarily the rural areas where we have none. We have pockets of areas. We've had modest success over the years. And lately what I've had Spectrum Charter is I've identified areas in town where we don't have build out. It's in need of build out. And they are looking at each of these areas to give us pricing to see what the build out would cost. And the ARPA funding is very clear that you can use it for build out. I think we're just gathering this information so that we have it at our fingertips, so that when we are using this ARPA funding, if we get to a point where we find that we have a certain amount of money at the end of the term period that we're allowed to expend it in, we might say, boy, we got $10,000 left. Maybe we can throw it at build out a cable or something like that. So that's why we're accumulating this data and costs for build out. It's not in previous conversations with the board, I can pretty steadfastly say that it hasn't been our knee-jerk reaction to provide funding for a profit-making company to do build out in the town where they'll profit from that build out. It's kind of even though there is great need in areas, so it's a little bit of a hard thing, but we will have those numbers soon. And that's it on cable. Parks and Rec. Scott, you want to bring us up to date there, or Gene?
Joe's gonna do it since my internet still continues to struggle. So.
All right, we'll have to get some Spectrum build out there.
All right, just a couple quick things. Most of us know where we are with COVID. The Recreation Committee met. I've met with some individuals from the Ontario school staff. We are going to take a pause on our youth basketball program till after the holiday break, and we're going to reevaluate in mid-January if in fact we feel it's feasible to have the program in a safe manner. It's disappointing not only to me but to obviously a lot of children and parents, but I think it's the most prudent decision at this time. Normally we would be starting actually this week, but like I said, we're going to pause. We're not saying no, we're not saying yes. We just want to take a wait and see look at it. So everybody on the rec committee that met last week, I believe, was on the same page. And like I said, we'll reevaluate in January and see where we go from there. The other thing is we spoke, and obviously it's something the town board's working on, the impact of short-term rentals on our park facilities and what we can do to make it somewhat equitable to the residents that support these facilities throughout the year, and make it work. So we've made some suggestions on the fee schedule for the use of the pool and for pavilion rentals. So there's some accountability for when they do rent those facilities. So they maintain their cleanliness and free of any vandalism and that type of thing. So we've made some recommendations there for the board. And obviously you guys will adopt, hopefully in favor. And then once you adopt the short-term rental policy / law, we can go further with that. But we think we've made some adjustments that make sense right now for residents, and obviously, get some return on our investment for the facilities that we maintain and offer for the public. Other than that, there's nothing else going on at recreation. I am starting my planning for day camp, God willing. We have a normal year this year. I'm redoing the booklet, the information booklet that I usually send out, finalizing some dates for registration and that kind of thing. So, and that's pretty much it for recreation.
Gene, did you send those recommendation of the fee changes to the board yet?
I actually forwarded it to Councilman Kelder, and I don't know if he's sitting on them for further review, but I can forward them to you or everybody if we want to go that route.
When you're ready. Yeah, I mean, no rush.
Yeah.
We got a nice long winter in front of us. Okay. Brian, Highway Superintendent.
Hear me, Jim?
Yes.
All right.
How you doing, Brian?
Good. I'll just touch on a few things. I don't have a tremendous amount this month, but I will back up to our, we have a conceptual plan for design of Red Maple and Bostock Road crossings. We have some future meetings to discuss some other options that to be involved in those designs. So looking forward to discussing that. I know the watershed folks have some concerns and some questions for SLR moving forward. So that's something that's moving along, and we'll continue on them. I just wanted to touch base. We had a recent retire Bob Olson that served as our mechanic for 20+ years. Beginning of December, he just retired. He'll be greatly missed. I have a new gentleman. We had 4 applicants, and I have a new gentleman looking to start the end of the month here. Optimistic he's going to do as good a job as Bob or better. Bob has served us greatly in the past 20 years, and I want to thank him for his years of service. He is a unique guy, a great neighbor, and was blessed to have him. So anyway, I just wanted to touch on that.
Can we send him a card from the town hall board, please, if we haven't?
I will
Sure.
send you can make a motion to send a letter thanking him.
I'd like to make that motion.
I'll
Second that.
second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Just- And just to touch on some stuff going on in town, we've had I'm going to say a great start to a winter, but we've had some tremendous wind events here, and I just want to put this out to the townspeople. This past Saturday, we had another event, had half the crew out, and we got things back in shape again earlier on today. But a lot of the public doesn't understand the danger of down utility lines, and I just want to make it known, if any townspeople traveling the roadways, and if we can't get the roads closed off for the fire department, I just ask the townspeople to call 911. You know, if you're on whatever road it may be, do not drive over these down wires. There's just a tremendous amount of risk, and it's just, I don't want to see anybody getting hurt. And we're out there doing our thing, but like I said, there's a lot of people that I've seen it happen recently and just this past weekend again. And you don't know if these lines are live or not. And I just want to put it out there. I don't want to see anybody getting hurt.
Okay, anything else on highway?
That's about it, Jim.
Thank you, Brian. Drew, on the police commission, you got anything for us, sir?
The police commission was going to meet on December 6th, but we got canceled out due to power outages throughout town. So they did not meet this month. And I believe they decided they weren't going to try to reschedule it, just wait until January to meet. Dawn, did you get a report from Sean?
I did get a report from Sean. I'll read that in a second, but Drew, it would be nice if the police commission always gives for the organizational meeting. They give a list of meeting dates. So if you could get that together and send it to me to put on the agenda for the organizational meeting, I'd appreciate that.
Okay, I'll see what I can do.
Okay, thank you. All right. I do not have October's. They did not get that to me in time last month, and then there was an issue on it when I got it late. So, but I do have November's. So we're going to skip October's and do November's. Year to date, 871. Total for November was 102. They had 11 vehicle accidents, 5 burglar alarms, 1 animal complaint, 15 medical assists, 4 fire call, 13 vehicle operation complaint, 1 welfare check, 302 security check, 4 vehicle lockout, 911 hang up accidental, 1 domestic dispute, 5 suspicious activity, 3 trespass, 1 disabled vehicles, 1 erratic vehicle, 26 criminal mischief, 3 burglary, 1 disorderly conduct, 1 paper served, 1 shot fired, 1 harassment, 2 sexual offender registry, 1 and abandoned vehicle, 1. They had 1 arrest for DWI refusal, and they had 13 traffic tickets. I do have the court too. For November, there was 3 misdemeanors and 3 violations under penal environmental law. There was 3 agricultural markets, 3 vehicle and traffic, 64 tickets. There was 3 aggravated unlicensed operation, 4 driving while intoxicated. They had a total defendants of 33, total visitors of 19. And they have a note here, court has reopened with COVID protocols remains in effect. Masks must be worn, and masks are provided to those without one, along with social distances observed in the courtroom. Town prosecutor continues to litigate traffic tickets written by state police officers. That was it.
Good, thank you.
Mhm. I'm just going to move on to town
Yeah.
clerk.
Thank you.
Okay. Town clerk's monthly report. We took in 19,154.58. I'm just gonna say that 13 of that was 13,120 was landfill, and building permits were at 4361. I also have the first aid squad. They had 40 calls, 15 in Shokan, 14 in Olive Bridge, 4 in West Shokan, 3 in Boyceville, 2 in West Hurley, 1 in Shandaken, and 1 in Woodstock. I also have Barry's October reports. His November report will be probably in my email when I go in tomorrow, but I do have October's report for the Boyceville Sewer District. So if anybody wants to see that, that's available in the clerk's office, and I'm all set.
Okay. Thank you. David, anything going on at Scenic Byway?
They haven't met, but I did get an email from Carol, who's the president, just talking about, I guess Hurley wants to get back or get in on the Scenic Byway. They had declined initially, and they're still working on Roxbury, and they're trying to get grants so that they can do more outreach and advertising. So kind of the same as always.
Okay. Thank you. Victoria.
The Conservation Advisory Council met last month. They are changing their meeting time from 5:30 to 6, which is much better for me. They talked about, they named specific people to spearhead each of their priorities so that it's not sort of diffuse that the whole group's going to be working on everything. And they're hoping that that will make it more organized and they can move forward. They do want to know if the $5,000 grant, which was approved, has come in. Do you know if it has come in, Jim?
Yeah, I notified them of that. We did receive the $5,000 grant. However, it came in like a week or so ago. And we're going to wait until, for accounting purposes, we're going to wait till January to deposit it. And then I did talk to Matt about doing the, like getting some proposals in for the energy.
Yeah, yes.
That grant will help.
Yeah. The other question that they had is if there's any interest from the town in Simon Strauss exploring the possibility of a town-owned solar array, which would provide most or all of the power to the town buildings and facilities. Before he does even begins exploring that, he wants to know if he should, because he doesn't want to basically waste his time if it turns out he shouldn't. So should he explore that possibility?
Has there been any change in the availability of power? Like Central Hudson didn't have enough infrastructure out here to support it.
Well, he's going to look
last
into
time. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that can change as well. So
Yeah,
we still want to be prepared.
absolutely. He just wants to know, would he really be wasting his time to even look into that? Or do we not want him to do that at this time? What do people think?
My response is if he wants the energy to look at all options and present it, but the town board will, we can't say he's wasting his time until we see what he has to present
Right.
us. So
Well,
it's
but
a double-ended question.
if it's even a possibility that we'd want to do that. And I said, I didn't know. And so I would bring it to the board.
I would say that, in the last few years that we've always had a struggle trying to get the OCAC to focus on things and follow through with them. And, I have been the leader of trying to really convince them not to keep broadening what they have to do. There's only a few, several people on that council, and they tend to do a lot of things. And I have been trying to get them to focus their efforts on several things rather than too many. So I think his apprehension about whether to pursue this or not comes from that criticism of the OCAC that I've provided to them. So I would suggest that, my perspective is not at this point in time. I'd like to see them follow through on the projects they're working on.
That was pretty much how I felt, but I didn't want to speak for the whole board without checking with you folks.
I would tend to agree.
Okay. We have a meeting tomorrow.
Check with us in 2 months or 3 months and see where they are with what they've been working on, and see how far they've gotten and what their goals are and how they're achieving them. And if there's room to add this in, but I hate to temper down enthusiasm, but they tend to be very over enthusiastic and take on a lot. And sometimes we don't get.
And there are new interesting things that come in all the time. And so it's hard to restrain yourself.
I'd like to see them get the CCA thing squared away, one way or the other.
Yes.
Well, that's really outside their control right now, waiting for Kingston. I think the Jewel thing is, last I heard, was pretty much abandoned.
So
Jewel is supposedly looking to expand some of what they're doing, but nothing's been totally clear.
I'm surprised.
I'm also supposed to be meeting or talking with Dan every 2 weeks after the meeting so that I can just make sure that I know what's going on with them. And this was their idea. Great idea. They wanted to do it weekly. I said, that was a bit much. They're an enthusiastic group.
Yes,
They're very
that's
enthusiastic.
good.
It's
Yes.
good.
It is good.
Yeah, so yeah, the other thing that we're going to be looking at there, we're going to be looking at different solar array laws in adjoining
Yes.
towns. And you know, I don't know where that's at. So you know, they take on these big projects, and looming behind it all is a land inventory project that they, you know, is their
Built
primary
this
purpose.
inventory?
You know, and I keep telling them that, and the latest thing is that they don't have the funding to do it, but maybe they should be looking for funding up, you know, possibilities along that line.
So we're discussing that also, is looking into funding possibilities. And they were wondering if they came up with grant possibilities, would they be submitting the grant or would the town be submitting the proposal?
We would probably do that in tandem with them,
That's what I would think.
as we've done the last one. They, you know, they do the legwork, get it to us, and do what they can on it, and we add what we need to add on it, and it worked out pretty well in the last one.
Right. I will
But
report.
we do the
that.
preliminary legwork to get it to us.
Okay. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Drew, the zoning committee.
So our last meeting in November, what we tried to do is solidify for the town board some discussion points to move forward on the STR law. So hopefully we can discuss that at our January meeting, the things I sent you guys in an email. And if we can solidify around those things, then the zoning committee can start modifying the existing proposed law into something a little different to start looking at next year. I would hope that sometime around March, April, or May, we could get this resolved and approved, depending on the time frame.
Okay,
There's a few sticky points that the committee does not necessarily agree on with each other, and that's what I want to talk to the town board about. So we'll talk about that next month. We were going to meet Thursday. I decided to cancel the meeting Thursday because right now I want to kind of concentrate the group on the STR law, and there's not much to do until the town board weighs in on what we're proposing.
great.
I'm kind of holding off on looking at anything else in the zoning code until we find out whether we get the comprehensive plan grant. I don't, if we get that grant, I don't see the zoning committee trying to modify the zoning law until, while we're trying to do a comprehensive plan.
Right. The one thing that I can put in your ear, if you want to talk to them by email or something, just to get them thinking about it and maybe researching it, is if we need to make any kind of change to our zoning law, being that we did not opt out of the marijuana, the cannabis law, that we, you know, there's a possibility these things would develop in our town, and we want to look at our zoning and see if there's any addressing that in any fashion.
Good point. Okay.
We might want to just let them know that there is a little bit in the cannabis legislation, as I recall, that talks about distances from schools, and I'm not sure what else they identify in there. Okay.
Are there similar limitations on location of liquor stores?
I believe there is. I'm not sure, to tell you the truth.
Because the Boyceville liquor store is pretty close to the school.
Yeah, I think they were trying to get it into the cafeteria. Just kidding, just kidding. It goes on YouTube. No, okay, so moving on. Buildings and grounds. Scott.
We did not meet. We're waiting on the findings on the ARPA money for buildings.
Okay. A lot of things pending. All right. Any other discussion? If anybody out there in the public, I see there's a few people out there that want to make a comment or ask a question. We can unmute them if you like, or they can unmute themselves. This is your chance. We're going to close the meeting soon. So if you have any comments, we'd love to hear them.
I just want to say I'm sorry for your loss. I didn't realize.
Thank you. Thank you.
Terribly sorry. Really, I had no idea.
Okay, no problem. Anything else? Anybody else? Okay. Like to make a motion to adjourn. Can I get in memory of, this is a long list, a very sad list. Laurie Fulford, Dawn Nicole Decker, Carlo Travaglia, Ward Pressendorfer, Bernice Littorella, Louis Schism Jr., Nathan Van Leuven, John Enger, Gail Russo, and Craig Russo. Can I get a second to adjourn?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, everyone. Try to have a happy holiday this season. I hope you're all stay safe and warm and comfortable. And
One thing you should mention, one announcement is that our closing of the books will be moved
Oh, yeah.
from
Thank
the
you.
town offices at 3 p.m. on December 30th to the town hall on Bostock Road, the same time, but we're moving the location.
Okay, so it's at the town meeting hall in Shokian rather than the office. All right, everyone.
Very good.
Last comments, parting words?
Stay safe. Be well.
Okay, thank you, everyone.
Have good holidays,
Have a good
everybody.
holiday.
Enjoy the holidays. Yep.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.